Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on Babelway's practical use cases. I'm Diego Merch, Senior Account Executive at Babelway, and I'll be your host today. For those new to Babelway, we're all about simplifying B2B integration, making data exchange between businesses smooth and efficient. We'll start with an overview of Babelway's core features and various formats led by Christine, our expert in EDI and B2B integration in the US market. Then, Julien, our Peppol specialist and lead project manager, will discuss the benefits of connecting to Peppol. Finally, he'll demonstrate how our platform makes document mapping and Peppol connections easy. At the end, we'll have a Q&A session, so please feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A section at the bottom of your Zoom window. And please take a moment to fill out our short survey after the webinar. Your feedback is invaluable. And now, Christine, enough of my side, the digital floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. I think we're going to get to the right slide here. Just getting ourselves together. Looks like people are still streaming in. We're going to talk about Babelway today. So I know a lot of you are joining from all over the world. We're across a lot of different time zones today, so appreciate your time with that. So let's talk about what is Babelway. We're going to take it back to the basics. I know several of you are familiar with it, really heavy users of the site. And some of you have never used it before. So what is our tool? Babelway is a self-service SaaS B2B integration platform. We specialize in data translation, and we can also be used just as a communication tool between two systems. We're in the cloud. We're on Amazon servers across the globe, so no software, hardware to install or maintain on your side. And we process hundreds of millions of messages per year, on average about 50 million per month. So it's exciting. We're hitting basically every industry: retail, automotive, logistics, fintech, you name it. If you can think of it, our almost 700 customers have got us in every single market. So we're excited about that. And then additionally, what's really important to us is security and compliance. So we're SOC 1 and SOC 2 compliant, as well as ISO 27001 and GDPR. Most recently, we are a certified Peppol access point provider, and you'll find out kind of what that means and why that's important to our platform as we go further on. But we're going to take it back to what we think are the most important, like 4 pillars of what you should have in your data integration platform. So these are the most important features that we see with Babelway. And the first one is control. Controlling everything from building your transaction sets, building all of your document flows, accessing your data at any point at the beginning of the process, at the end of the process, giving that control to maybe your partners or your customers in order to access that data, to just basically never have a piece of the pie outside of your control. So you don't need to come to our team, or nothing's behind a curtain for you. You can resubmit documents as you want and assign user roles as you need. So control is really important, but what's control without flexibility? If you can't have a flexible tool and you don't have an integration tool that meets all of your business requirements and your partner's business requirements, it's not really worth anything. So Babelway has created an extensive library of features and functions to get you translating your data exactly as it needs to be translated, so that essentially either side of the process doesn't need to change anything. Everything's happening in the cloud in our translation tool. So, and that also goes with the flexibility of standards, formats, things like that. And with those standards and formats comes compliancy. So I mentioned before how important security is to Babelway, that we're, routinely performing security tests and we're tested from outside sources as well. Security and compliance are our top priority. And being compliant is more than just having, a secure platform, a secure tool. It's about meeting regulations and requirements brought by governments, industries, and even formats and protocols. So being able to maintain compliancy with all of those standards, regardless of the country or the region that we're dealing with. Babelway, you can be sure that Babelway is compliant with those. And then finally, being up to date. So one of the things that we pride ourselves in is having an extremely up-to-date, progressive, forward-thinking platform. Well, what does that mean? Babelway, uniquely in this industry, I believe, releases code every week. So we're always releasing the latest and greatest features, and we don't have versioning. So if you're on our smallest plan, or if you're on the highest plan that we have, you're all getting the same version. And there's zero cost to you and zero updates to maintain on your side. So with Babelway, you're always up to date. Now we're going to go a little bit more in depth with some of these file formats just to set the groundwork for kind of what we're going to talk about later on with Peppol and where we see the market going with e-invoicing and some new compliance regulations coming across the globe. So a lot of you are familiar with how flexible we are with our standards and formats. This is just kind of a snapshot of what we can connect you with and what formats you can upload into our tool. And today we're going to be talking about XML, CSV, X12, and UBL and why that they're important. So let's first talk about XML. XML, pretty much everyone's familiar with this. It's just a really flexible file format. We see it evenly used across the world in all of our markets and all of our regions. Basically, everyone's using XML. You can make it be and do whatever you want it to be. And we have, I think currently, right now, Babelway has about 150,000 channels across all of our customers' environments. And the most common format that our customers are using is XML. So this just shows you that it's super flexible and everybody's using it. And you see it in every single industry. So, you know, that's a great format to use if you are trying to connect to two systems and you need to have a standard. Moving on is kind of much more simplistic is our CSV format. So everyone knows what a CSV file is. It could be anything delimited. The reason that we encourage a lot of our customers to use CSV is because it's a great landing point when you're moving away from when you're moving into the digital world or e-invoicing space or anything from a PDF or even like a paper trail, like you're getting paper invoices, most programs can like output a CSV file. So it's a super simple first step going into the digital world. And we see this mostly used in the US. It's great for lists, inventory, you know, lots of repeating lines, a single header element. And if you're kind of stuck or you've got partners that are like, you're trying to get them moving into the digital world, this is where we encourage you to go using a CSV. Next is kind of more US specific is X12. And if any of you have ever touched them, used them, looked at them, they can be a real pain, a real nuisance. They are maintained by a consortium in the US that develops a national standard, and those standards are constantly updated. And it's really important too when you're looking for an EDI provider that you have an EDI provider that works with this consortium, the Standards Institute, because you have to get those updates in order to validate the files properly. So Babelway knows that it's a difficult file format to read when we load it, and you'll see that later on when we do a quick demo of X12. We create a great visual representation of it that's super easy to read using the validations and standards so that, you know, we're adhering to that national standard, but also making it very easy to look at. And this is dominated in the retail industry in the US, e-commerce, supply chain, all of the big hitters are using X12. And then finally, UBL. So this is mostly a European standard. It's a library of XML business documents. And the reason that UBL has just become so important recently is because of its adoption in EU invoicing standards. So you'll see this with in Peppol, you'll see with every regulated industry in the EU, you're going to see UBL being used. So kind of introducing that conversation about e-invoicing, we're going to move into Peppol and why that's so important and what the Babelway platform has to do with it.
Thanks, Christine.
Thank you, Christine.
Yeah, so connecting with Peppol. So a bit of a background. around PEPL. So PEPL stands for the Pan-European Public Procurement Online. It's basically a framework that is supported by the European Commission. And in recent years, we saw that PEPL became a trend for B2G, so Belgian business to government or e-invoicing, in order to initiate the massive exchange of electronic invoices. So in countries where B2G has been or is being introduced as mandatory, the trend is now to extend the legal obligation for B2B traffic. The final objective of this initiative for government is to have a full control over the tax collection. And at Babelway, we believed very early in PEPL and were early adopters of the framework. So in a nutshell, how does it work? So basically, we'll take the example of company A being a supplier and company B being the customer. So supplier wants to send an invoice to its customer, company A to company B. It works a bit like the yellow pages. So in the yellow pages, the person who want to be called register its phone number within the yellow pages. Here, it works a bit the same. So company B, which is the customer, will register itself on the PEPL registry using its access point receiver. So you will use, the customer will use a legal identifier that can be the VAT number, for instance, or the SIRET number in France, the Lightweg ID in Germany. So each and every country has their own specific identifiers to legally identify a company. So once this registration is done, basically the customer said to the word, I'm able to receive PEPL documents. Afterwards, then the supplier wants to send his invoices to the company B. He will send its invoices to its sender access point, which, based on the content of the file, will make a query directly in the PEPL registry to ask PEPL where to send the invoice. So, for instance, in Belgium, they will use the KBO CBE number, which is the Belgian enterprise number. And based on that information, PEPL will tell, okay, you're trying to reach company B, please send the file to access point ABC, for instance. And then we can dynamically send the file through the PEPL network to the receiver access point. And after that, there is a relationship between the receiver access point and company B to implement or integrate the invoice in its own accounting system. So Babelway can act both as the sender access point or the receiver access point. So we can make the registration for your companies into PEPL, and we can hand over the sending of the files through the network. Here, what we are trying to show is the list of the countries that are relying or willing to rely on PEPL. So Belgium, France, the Netherlands, Germany, mainly all European Union countries support or will support PEPL in the near future. But even non-European countries such as Malaysia, Singapore, Australia, and New Zealand are following the trend to support PEPL as well. So what are your options to connect to PEPL? Option one, you can become your own access point. So meaning you will have to be certified by Open PEPL, which is the association that manages the PEPL framework. For this, you can use Babelway also to be your own access point, but you will still need to fill in some administrative information and be certified on a technical point of view. Option two, you can use Babelway as your default access point. Then we will send and register the documents for you using our access point ID, access point identifier. Yeah, so now I'll hand over back to Christine to see how Babelway can.
Thank you, Julien. Back to you, Christine.
Right. Okay, I think I'm on. So we're going to do a quick demo. I'm just going to show you guys a couple basic features, and then we'll have a more elaborate demo after me. So I'm going to just show you some basic things here. Maybe a use case you've haven't seen before, I'm not sure, maybe you just want to get a taste of Babelway. So I'm in a channel that I'm building here. This scenario is an invoice from a North American office to a South American office. And we're seeing a lot of cross-regional trade more than we ever have. So that's why it's important to look at document types and standards and protocols and see what we're using across the globe. So in this scenario, my North American partner is using AS2. AS2 is one of our most secure protocols. And you can see here in this drop-down list, lots of all of our protocol options. So lots of options here. This AS2 connection, all you need to set that up is just your partner's AS2 ID and a certificate. And there you go. And I've created that. So I'm going to move on to the message in. This is a North American file. So we're working with Walmart here. That's going to be X12. And I'm going to upload a sample of that just so that we can see how it looks in Babelway. This is an 810 invoice with X12. So looking at this tree, you can see that Babelway has put in a description of each of these codes, each of these segments here. So we know what we're looking at. If you didn't have this, you'd be totally lost in X12. It is really like you're out to sea with no help. It's a crazy format. So we're going to skip over that for the moment, go to message out. This is going to an office in our partner in Colombia. So we're using their XML format. Like I was saying, XML is pretty flexible, so we'll see it across the globe. I'm going to choose that invoice and just confirm, and then you can see this is their invoice format here. And then I'll move right into the gateway out, and they have some more specific connection protocols. So we're just going to post to their side using just a URL. And we're going to choose the authentication type, which you can see we support a lot. But this is just pretty much basic for this connection. And then we're going to create that gateway so that we can send it straight to them. Now let's go back into the transform. When we're building a channel, this is the meat of it. This is the Babelway tool right here. Everything else is awesome, but this is where we really get in and get our hands dirty. So the first thing, you can do with Babelway, you can just do the straight drag and drop left to right. That's super simple. Great. You might not need to do much more than that, but I'm going to map 3 fields for you guys just to show you our 3 most common functions used. I'm going to map this invoice number, but I don't immediately see the invoice number field on my output file. And that's pretty standard. When we get these large UBL or even like an IDoc or an XML file, we don't always see the fields that we want. So I love to use this little search bar right here. It's going to give me 2 results. It's not that one. Okay, this is the field that I want to use. So use that when you're in these, like in the weeds to these crazy big files. So for this invoice number, I know that X12 invoice numbers can be very strange. So I need to do something on it. I need to strip some of the text out. If I click on this function editor, these are all the library of functions that Babelway offers for, they're pre-built functions, and they kind of help you to get the answers that you need or get the text that you need out of whatever it is that you're translating. I'm going to do a substring after because I know that in X12, sometimes there are these really weird prefixes. So the string that I'm working with is the BIGO2 field, and I really don't want this weird little prefix that they use. My Colombian office just can't process it if it comes in like that. So there we go. I've put a function on, super quick, super easy. The next most common function, or maybe the most common, is a change date formula. We see this just, dates are just not consistent. And that's totally fine. No one needs to change anything on their side. So I'm going to grab the invoice date here, drag it into this little function editor builder. Love this, super easy. And my format in for X12, and it's the US, so we're going to go month, day. Sorry, I know we are the weird ones in the world, but that's totally fine. And Colombia wants to do day hyphen month, and then maybe they do a 2-digit year. In this particular office, we're going to use US Eastern Standard Time here. And there we go, nothing to change on either side. We don't want anyone to have to change their ERP, WMS, TMS systems. We want everything to move as efficiently as possible. And then now I'm going to look at one more function. This is, we see this frequently used. We've got codes, shipping codes, identifier codes, vendor codes on either side of the translation or the process, and we can't afford to have each side save the other one's vendor numbers or codes of some kind. So we store them in Babelway in what we call lookup tables. That is an option to store some kind of static data that you need to pull dynamically within the middle of the transformation. But yeah, you don't want to ask your partner to make any changes on their side. So I've got a couple here. I've got a partner IDs lookup table. So what I'm looking at here is for this buyer number, I know in the US for this office, there's an ID, and then there's an ID in Colombia that it's corresponding ID. So I'm going to grab this REF02 for the vendor IA, drag it over here, and we're going to do a lookup and pull the corresponding value. As with any lookup table function where there's a condition, what if it doesn't find it? Babelway has you covered here because there's got to be a default value. You can force it to error out, but I know that if I send 4 zeros in this code, they'll know that this vendor has not been created yet, and we need to take some kind of action to create that vendor. So I'm going to save my work. Saving's really super important. Always hit that save button. And I've just done a quick little build for you showing you pretty much like the 3 most common things that we see in mapping. Hope that's helpful. I think we're going to move on to something a bit more complex and more focused toward e-invoicing and PEPL.
Yeah. Sure. Thanks, Christine. I'll just share my screen now. So yeah, the goal is here of the small demo is to show you quickly how you can set up your channels within your Babelway account or to be account, but so to receive PEPL files or to send PEPL files. So basically here we will configure the first channel, which is receive PEPL files. So the gateway in that case will be the PEPL gateway in. So we will make the registration I talked earlier about. So this is where you will be able to enter the information you will want to publish on PEPL for you to receive invoices or whatever files you want to receive on PEPL. So there are 2 zones to fill in. First one is the identifier of your companies, of your entities, and the documents you want to publish on PEPL to receive. So the identifier comes with a scheme and the identifier itself. The scheme is basically defining what type of identifier you're going to use. There is the GLN, for instance, that you can use. In Belgium, there is the enterprise number, scheme ID. We have in the list here all the identifiers that are used on PEPL. So yeah, basically I will just put a random company number here. You will just put the name of your company. So that's it. You can add as many identifier as you want. If you have multiple companies that you want to register or other offices, etc., you can quickly add those in a single gateway in. Then you will decide which documents you want to receive on PEPL. In Europe, the most standard exchange format is the PEPL BIS-v3. So by default, we listed already the invoice, the credit note, the invoice response, in case you want to receive also the answers on your different invoices or credit notes that you send. So those documents are basically an XML stating if your invoice is accepted, rejected, and the reason of the rejection. MLR is a technical and response that you are not forced to support as well. But we usually advise to support all these documents, but we support every format that can be exchanged on PEPL. So there are Italian formats, the Poland format, the German format, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand. Any format that exists and can be exchanged on PEPL is listed on the Babelway account. So that's how you are going to create your registration on PEPL and declare to the world that you are able to receive files on PEPL. Then afterwards, you will create your channel just as Christine showed in the demo. You can pre-select the PEPL format that are already in our catalog, so the credit note or the invoice, and then you're good to go to create a transformation channel to integrate the PEPL invoices into your system. In parallel, we are also working on a connector, which should make this step even easier for you. You will just need to fill in your identifiers, an email address, and a language, and you will be able to receive Peppol invoices that will be transformed, by to PDF and sent over to you by email. With just those three information filled in, you will be able to be ready for Peppol, to at least for receiving invoices. Now, for sending Peppol files, same process as Christine showed. Gateway is how you are going to push the files to Babelway to send over Peppol. Messaging will be the format of the files that you are going to push to us. And the message out here will be, again, Peppol. So either you choose the UBL and you load a Peppol sample, or you just use our catalog with the predefined Peppol BSV3 format. And in the gateway out, then how to send the file to Peppol, you just select the Peppol gateway out, create gateway, and you don't have anything to do because we look into the content of the Peppol file to be able to send it dynamically to each of your partners. Just in the properties, you can select if you want to go to production or test systems. The goal and the big advantage here of Peppol is that with one channel, you can cover all your customers that are registered on Peppol for the defined format. This will save you a lot of time building each and every channel to integrate with 100 customers, whatsoever. Here, with just one channel, you can cover all your Peppol needs using Babelway. So yeah, that's it on my side. I hand over back to you, Diego.
Thank you very much, Julien. Let me share my screen again. Here we are. We had a few questions during the presentations, but before that, I'd like to take a minute to talk about Tradeshift. As you know, Babelway is one of the Tradeshift product lines. Tradeshift is a leader in e-invoicing compliance and offers a full range of solutions from payable automation to embedded finance. If you are interested in going beyond simple EDI or setting up a connection to Peppol and need more complex invoicing flows or are interested in automating your AP and procurement process, just drop us a message and we'll be happy to connect you with our colleagues. The latest Tradeshift 3-in-1 package is available for businesses that need rapid implementation for P2P solution at a competitive price. Again, our colleagues would be happy to let you know more about it. If you're interested, please drop us a line in the chat or reach out after the webinar. Lastly, as August 19, 2024, Tradeshift is a registered PDP in France. We continuously monitor French regulation and maintain contact with authorities to ensure compliance excellence. If you're a business operating in France, by September 2026, you'll need to use a registered PDP to exchange compliant invoices, so we can be the solution for you. Before we go to questions, I'd like to mention that next week, we'll have a live webinar about the France clearance mandate and what you need to know. So if you're interested, please register. And now let's go a little bit through the Q&A sessions. So the first question we have here is the solution aligned to e-invoicing requirements coming up to other jurisdictions apart from France? Julien, I think this question is definitely for you.
Yeah, so we cover each and every country that has published their own specifications or their dedicated specifications. So we have a clearance program where we will support each and every country that will declare or require some specific uses for e-invoicing. That's what we are actively doing for France as well with the PDP, as we are going to we are on the path to be certified, etc. So yeah, we will be definitely we do also invoicing in lots of other jurisdictions than Belgium. We do that in Malaysia. We do that in Germany, etc.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Julien. We have another question here. Hi, Ludovic. When you talk about compliance, do you mean that you perform some regulatory monitoring, like required formats for each market? Julien, I think again that one is for you.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we ensure that the specifications that are published by any jurisdiction are implemented into Babelway, and that we follow the technical compliance that they are asking us. Before sending a file through Peppol, it's mandatory for the sender access point to validate the files against the specifications, which is something we do each and every time. So whenever you will send a file through Peppol via Babelway that is in success, it means that the file is valid on our side as we made the necessary validations. Also, Christine mentioned during the presentation that we are up to date, meaning that, of course, jurisdictions or any other instance that publish updates on their formats, etc., we will publish those updates, and all those updates will be available to all our customers.
Thank you very much, Julien. Very clear indeed. We've got another question here on the internal chat. And this one is for Christine. The question is it possible to monitor directly if a message is going through the platform or if there was a fail at some point?
Oh, absolutely. Messages can be monitored pretty detailed with a lot of metadata. So we can see if it got to us. We can look in the logs using the monitor tool and the new notifications V2. You can be notified immediately under any circumstance. So maybe the message got to Babelway, didn't process for some reason. Maybe it got all the way to attempt to be delivered to your partner's server and it didn't get anywhere from there. So using our new notifications, you can be alerted in any manner that you want to be alerted to. So definitely. Babelway stores a lot of metadata around message processing. So it's our goal to give you every single thing that you might need in order to troubleshoot the problem.
Thank you very much, Christine, for that answer. Another little question that we have here inside, and I think, again, it's for you, Christine, is if I want to do everything by myself inside Babelway, can I do it?
Oh, I love that question. Yes, I want you to do everything by yourself. Using our team as a guide, using our onboarding courses, and then using our support at babelway.com to answer all your technical questions, move you forward. The goal is self-service. So we want you to take full control of the platform so that you don't even need us, so that you're coming to us and telling us what features that you want on the platform because you're such an expert at it. So that's the goal, and we're here to assist you with that goal.
Okay, thank you very much, Christine. We have another question from Ludovic here. Do you have a solution to transform orders received by email in an EDI format? I think that one is for Julien.
Yeah. So indeed, like we talked a lot about invoicing because it's the trend, but of course we can if we receive orders, as long as the order is on a structured format or in a PDF, we can transform it to any format that is required, including I guess by EDI format you mean a defect, but indeed that's possible, of course.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Julien. And one question from Gérard that I think is going to be for you also. In invoicing, especially in France, required the special handling of the readable representation of the invoice. How is it managed in Babelway? So
we are able to transform the UBL or the Peppol file that we receive to a PDF. We have already a standard mapping that is doing that. But of course, we can also transform it to another PDF that is required by your customer if they want to have some more fancy PDF. In Peppl also, there is the possibility to embed or attach any attachment within the XML file. So you can exchange the human readable invoice within the files, you can exchange timesheets, etc. So the framework has foreseen those possibilities to exchange attachments within the Peppl files.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Julien. I'm going to leave 1 more minute to see if there is any other question, and then we may wrap up. Do not worry. If you've got more questions, we'll be answering them to you personally after the webinar. The question from Sebastian Kaiser. I'm already a Babelway customer. Thank you very much. Just to thank you for your great tool and the best support team I've ever seen. Really interested by the French-Germany e-invoicing topic. Well, this is not a question, but at least we are very happy that that everything is going well on your side. And if you have not joined Babelway, if you're still not joined Babelway, maybe after seeing happy customers like that, it could be a good thing to go forward. Well, thank you very much, Sébastien, for those kind words.
And don't hesitate to get back to us if you want to discuss about French and Germany e-invoicing topics.
Yes, indeed. Just a quick final question from Vicky. Julien, can you connect directly to my Sage 200 accounts system in the UK?
Yeah, I guess that depends on how the Sage 200 accounts wants to be connected, but it's definitely possible, I think, no problem.
Yes, in general, to be honest, we can connect to pretty much everything. This is due to the number of protocols that we adopt and that we use. We can connect to pretty much everything. So voilà, but thank you very much, Vicky, for your question. So maybe today is the day you start streamlining all your document exchange processes today with Babelway. If you want to know more about Babelway, if you have questions about pricing, about your use case, do not hesitate to reach out directly to me at diegomerch@tradeshift.com. And if you didn't remember that email, you can always go to babelway.com straight away or type Babelway in Google, arrive on our website. You've got our contact there. Do not hesitate to contact us directly there, and we'll be more than happy to help you get everything set up. And I would like to thank again everyone for joining. I would like to remind you also to fill out the little survey that will pop off once the webinar is done. And I would like to thank also Julien and Christine for the amazing demo that they showed us today. It was a real pleasure to work with you guys, and probably see you pretty soon for a new webinar organized by Babelway. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks. Have a nice day.
Thanks, everyone.